Well, hello there, John Verrico. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. How are you today?
Of course you did. You did very well. Thank you, Angie. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I have, I'm wondering, Verrico, is that Italian or what is
It's
it?
Italian.
Where does it
Yes.
come from? Okay, okay. Yeah, then, yeah, we're
There's
on a good
actually, I've
track.
learned that there's a village named Verrico in Italy,
Ah, oh,
but I
that's
don't think my
great.
family is actually from there. They may
Okay.
be. I don't know.
Well, you and I, we met on Ed Cohen's show, his TV talk, or maybe I would suggest only like 12 weeks back. It's not that long. Um,
No, no, but there's something about you that instantly clicked.
yeah, it's probably the fact that I like rock music and that you have worked with actual real rock stars in your career.
I had a very fortunate period of time where I did get to meet and work with Peter Tork from the Monkees, and
Great.
he actually became a very good friend of ours. My wife actually managed his blues band,
Uh-huh.
and I was just a hanger-on helper.
Uh-huh. Awesome. Tell us a fun fact about you.
Oh my! I let's see. I stole camels in Pakistan.
How come?
Not really. So what happened was when I was in the Navy, my ship went to Karachi, Pakistan,
Yeah.
and my boss and I rented a horse and buggy to kind of take us around to all the different sights to see and stuff. And one of the things that happened was a couple of the locals were walking their camels and offered us rides on their camels.
Uh-huh.
For a certain fee. It was equivalent to about $10 at the time. And so we said, sure, that'll be kind of fun. And so we never realized, of course, how large camels really are, you know? And so they have the camels sit down and we climb onto them and then they stand up. And of course, they stand up like, back
Yeah.
first and
Yeah.
forward first. So we're like leaning way over, feeling like we're going to fall. And then when we finally get situated, we're like 15 feet up in the air, it's crazy high. So they walk us around for a little bit, and we're like, okay, this is kind of fun. And then they hand us the reins and smack the camels and have them run around. And we're trying to steer them, and they don't actually listen to us like a horse would. They
Uh-huh.
didn't respond the same. So I had no idea what we were doing. So then they said, okay, we'll take you back to your buggy, but it'll be $5 more. And we went, wait a minute now, we made a deal. I'm not going to pay any extra. And so they insisted they're not going to take us back. And we're now far away. We had no idea where we are. They're not going to take us back unless we pay this extra. So I said, no, not going to do it. And they kicked the camels and off we went. We had no idea how to steer the camels. We had no idea where we were. We had no idea if we were going in the wrong direction. We just knew we weren't going to pay the extra. And my boss turns around and looks at me. He goes, "John, do you have any idea how to make these things sit down so we can get off of them when we get there, wherever we go?" And I said, "No, I don't." He goes, "Well, it's worth the extra $5 to do that." So ultimately, the camels stopped. They caught up with us, uh, and they took us back. And they didn't charge us that extra money.
So, but they were trying
They
hard
tried.
for the
They
extra
tried.
sale. Oh, that
So
sounds
that's my story about stealing
a
camels.
very funny story, and it sounds like I was just reminded of a rickshaw drive I once had in New Delhi, where honestly I had no clue. The guy didn't understand where I was going, like we could not communicate with each other.
Oh no.
And then I just said, okay, this is my hotel. I just pointed at some random hotel. And I figured out with Google Maps where I was, even though, that was like in 2012, where the Google Maps was not like today. And then I got another, like an electronic rickshaw that took me then home to the hotel. But, like,
Angie, we had
I
no
mean,
Google Maps or
we come
anything
into
back.
very funny situations sometimes, right?
And that, it makes life interesting when we have the opportunity to travel, to meet people from around the world, to experience other cultures. And so, of all the things, there are good things that happen and bad things that happen, or confusing things or scary things, but still in the long run, it all adds to who we are and our overall life experience. I wouldn't change it all, any of it for the world.
Absolutely.
Back then, we didn't have Google Maps, we didn't have cell phones, we had no way of communicating at all. And we were out in the middle of no place, outside the limits of Karachi, and this was 1982.
You
So yeah,
had
we didn't have
camel
anything.
maps in
No, nothing.
1982.
Not yeah.
The camel had a map.
Yeah, internally he knew where he wanted to go, but
Yeah, yeah,
we had
yeah.
no idea where that was, and it wasn't the
Yeah,
same place we had in mind.
yeah, it's so funny. Do you, well, one of the things, that I found very cute about your biography was the statement that you still haven't figured out what you want to be when you're a grown up. So can you tell my viewers a bit more about your journey, like, why you do what you do and how you got to where you are today, what you actually do, anything, that we would like.
Sure, sure. Well, I started out as I was a very little kid in school.
Hmm.
I was only into using, our measurement numbers, 5'3" tall and weighed only 110 pounds when I was 18 years old and graduated
Uh-huh.
high school. So I was very, very little. And so I got picked on by bullies a lot.
Uh-huh.
And I was made to feel like I was less than others, and I just kind of swore that I never would want anyone around me to ever feel that way.
Hmm.
And so without even realizing it, as I went through life and started to getting out of school and going into work environments, and I kind of experienced the bully boss behaviors, I really kind of worked under the current to help to combat that and help people feel like they made a difference, no matter where we were and what we did. And so while I was still kind of trying to figure out where I was going in life and what I wanted to do, I actually thought I wanted to go into electronics. And I worked for a couple of years as an electrical engineer and electronics technician. And I just wasn't thrilled with it. I was good at the work, but it wasn't what I wanted. My sticking my face in a circuit board all day wasn't as attractive to me as it was as talking to my coworkers and hanging out and doing that kind of stuff and doing training for my coworkers and writing training manuals. And I realized that when I was helping other people to achieve their goals, that's when I was happiest. So I tried a bunch of different things, and it was in a lot of different environments. Everything from a security guard to a janitor to I did stand-up comedy for a while. I was a disco dance instructor back in the day. I sold men's clothing. I was a short order cook. I tried a bunch of things, not really knowing what I wanted to do career-wise, but there was this undercurrent through all of this.
Hold on
Uh,
just for a second. Just for a
I know
second.
you're going to go. I know. Go ahead. Go
Can
ahead.
you show us a disco move, please? Like John Travolta
Uh,
style.
I'll just go like that.
Awesome. Sorry,
Look,
I interrupted you.
back
Go
in the
ahead.
day, we're talking, in the late 70s. Like I said, I was this little kid. Nobody paid attention to me. I wasn't getting any dates, and I noticed that, in the nightclubs, because this was the disco era,
Uh-huh.
all the guys were getting the dates who could dance.
Ah,
And I said, I've got to learn how to do this. And so I
yeah.
would watch American Bandstand and Soul Train and all these shows and watch all these dancers, and I'd practice the moves at home. And I started to invent some of my own moves. And then I hung out with a really very good-looking guy. And when we
Uh-huh.
went to the clubs, he would go and approach a table full of girls and say, "Would you like to dance?" And they, "Oh yeah." Well, they could only dance at one at a time, so there was somebody left over. And I'd go, "Do you mind dancing with me in the meantime? While you're waiting for him, would you dance with me?" Okay, fine. And then we'd get out on the dance floor and I'd bust out some moves and, oh, hey, that was cool. Do that again. And then other people would come around and say, "Hey, what was that move?" And so I started teaching people. And next thing
Uh-huh.
you know, I was actually teaching competition disco.
Unbelievable.
The fun
Okay.
part about it was, again, the undercurrent without realizing it. I was helping other people achieve. I was putting other people in competitions. I was
Yeah,
teaching
yeah,
them moves
yeah.
and making them better. And that's what I was enjoying more than anything else.
Uh-huh.
Didn't know it at the time.
And that's how you became an instructor,
Yeah, I
advisor, coach.
ultimately joined the Navy because I wanted
Yeah.
to get some discipline in my life.
Okay.
I, at the time, working in the nightclubs, and I was a bartender, I was a roadie with a band. I just didn't have a good structure and a
Hmm.
good career path.
Yeah, yeah.
And I couldn't hold a regular job because I was unreliable. I couldn't get up in the morning. I was used to coming in when most people were getting up.
Mm.
So I realized that, and when I started to go into, because I enjoyed writing, I went back to school for journalism, but I would show up late when I got an assignment. And so by the time I got there, it wasn't news anymore. It was history. Like, the other newspapers already covered it. So because of that unreliability, I said, I need to get some discipline. And my kid brother said to me, Bro, I'm thinking about going in the military and you need some discipline. I think you should go with me.
Okay.
So neither of us wanted to get shot at or crawled through the mud. So the Army and the Marine Corps were out. And I have a fear of heights. So I didn't want to do the Air Force. But I know how to swim, so let's do the Navy. And that's how I wound up in the Navy. And I joined the Navy as a Navy journalist
Oh, yeah.
and wound up with a fabulous career, learning not only journalism, but all the impacts of public affairs and public relations. And I spent my time helping to promote the work that my fellow sailors were doing. And then when I got out of the Navy and I went into the civilian world, mostly in government agencies, I was doing that same thing. I was helping to promote the work that people were doing and letting them shine for what they, get the credit for what they did. And I found that when people got recognition, when
Mm.
people realize that what they do matters, that what they do makes a difference, they perform better. They feel better about themselves. They perform better. People around them see that, feel that. It starts to become contagious. And
Mm.
so I've just evolved over the years to be focused on helping people to achieve that level. So I started coaching and speaking at events and doing workshops about almost 30 years ago now. And I just wrapped up kind of an overlapping career between the military and government for 42 years, about a year and a half ago now.
Wow.
So now I'm focused on doing this full time as a speaker and a coach and an author.
I know that you're also doing these collaborative book projects, and do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
I love the opportunities to work with others and especially other people who are, like-minded and heart-centered. And there was a group that was working on a collaboration series called The Art of Connection,
Uh-huh.
365 days of quotes. And each year it was a different type of quote. So the first time I got involved, and the publisher called me to invite me in. And I guess he'd seen some social media posts and things that I was doing and or seen me speak somewhere and he said, I think you'd be great for this. This book is on inspirational quotes. But when he first called me, it was fun. It was supposed to be one of these, these, Angie, the 15-minute discovery call to see. And I'm like, oh, what is he going to try to
I
sell
love
me,
them. Hmm.
And
Yeah,
I was like, okay, here we go. He's going to try to sell me something. So we get on the phone and we start talking and we instantly hit it off. You know how sometimes you
yeah,
just click.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
45 minutes later, I said to him, Robert, you set this call up and I assume it was about some project you're working on. Why did you call? And he goes, oh, yeah, there's this book that we're
By the
doing.
way, I was talking to you for 45 minutes, but I forgot what I wanted to talk to you about.
It was great. So finally we got to the business thing and he said, "Look, it's a collaboration book. It's The Art of Connection,
Uh-huh.
365 days of inspirational quotes and I think you would be great to be part of that." And so, it's just a single page of text. It's an original quote and then a couple of paragraphs that elaborate on that, and then a question that you pose to the reader so they can adopt that mindset.
Mm.
And I was like, that sounds like a brilliant idea. I'll do it. Well, then the following year, it was 365 days of transformational quotes. So I got involved in
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
Last year, it was gratitude quotes.
Yeah.
And then this year, which is 2025, the book was abundance quotes. And I
Fantastic.
actually helped. I got so involved and I became such a believer in this because we're gathering authors from all around the world who have that heart-centered kind. They're all entrepreneurs, but they're heart-centered and they're out there trying to help people. So they're healers, they're grief counselors, there are financial advisors, there's all kinds of people, coaches, speakers, and every one of them has something brilliant to share
Mm.
that might have some benefit. Well, I've also, in meeting and interacting with these people, I have found wonderful new friends
Mhm.
and great collaboration opportunities. We're working together with a bunch of people on a bunch of different projects. So I just kept sticking with it. Well, when the abundance book, we were working on the abundance book, they asked if, John, you always know you're meeting people all around the world. Do you know any other authors that would be, or people who want to be authors who would want to be part of it? So I started to help to recruit people into that book. And I was fortunate enough that I wound up being responsible for over 40 pages in the book by people that I had found. And so I was honored by being listed on the cover as the official co-author
Oh,
of the
fantastic.
Book of Abundance.
Fantastic. I will also add a link to the show notes because I also have some clients who want to be writers, are interested in authoring. Yeah, so maybe they can at least have a look at
Angie, the
this
next book, the
opportunity.
one that we're working on now to come out for 2026 is 365 Days of Resilience
Mhm.
quotes. And that's a very important topic
Absolutely.
nowadays, especially nowadays.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, there's some pages available if people are interested and want to learn how to become part of it.
John, with your story and the diversity of experiences you had, and also working, living, I'm sure the Navy got you around the world, the bands, and also everywhere where you've been, etc. Do do you have any tips for a younger version of you, and maybe also somebody who is at the moment at a crossroads, not sure, maybe still feels like I'm haven't really figured it out yet, even though like I'm midlife and I still don't really know what I want to be as a grown up. What would be your tip for these kind of listeners?
So I would say, first of all, believe in yourself, and learn something new every day. Don't try to plan everything in your life. And I know a lot of advisors will tell you, oh, you'd have to have a plan for success. Yes and no, because life changes, situations change, and you've got to be flexible. You've got to be able to adapt as things change. I know, look how many times I changed careers and jobs and stuff. It took me a long time to figure out where I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. And even though I spent 42 years in military and government as a public affairs person helping to tell stories, it wasn't until I was getting ready to leave that when I realized kind of the undercurrent of why I was doing it all along. We may we may not figure it out for quite a while, but I would say look at yourself, believe in yourself, and try to understand your why. What is it that makes something attractive to you?
Mm.
What do you feel when you do certain types of things? What are your values? How does it align with your values? Um, and
You
then
know,
then that
yeah.
humility to keep learning. Every day is a learning opportunity. Even when you make one of my favorite quotes is from Esther Dyson, and she says, "Make new make oh goodness, it's every day make new mistakes."
Yeah. Yeah. Great.
And I love that because it means that we're constantly growing, we're constantly learning, and we shouldn't really we shouldn't let mistakes or wrong turns or dead ends get to us. It's a learning opportunity. Every time we encounter something, every time we do something, it's a learning opportunity. Sometimes all we learn is don't do that again,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But don't gel on that. Just learn and move on.
I was reminded of something when you talked about your childhood as a small child, being bullied. That many of my clients, they sometimes figure out the why when they think back about their childhood and youth. Or, when they think about the thing that they really wanted to do when they were like a teenager. Very often, maybe you've also heard about these artists that never became artists, and then they end up in like a very different profession just because it made sense to survive, kind of
Yes.
thing. Yeah. And very often, when they then dare to go back to that time, they find their true essence, why they were brought into the world, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And it takes a while to figure it out. There's so, there's a book that came out many, many years ago. It's called The Accidental Salesman. And it says nobody as a kid says, I want to be a salesperson when I grow up.
Yeah.
They may go into sales, they may enjoy sales, they may be little entrepreneurs selling lemonade out on the driveway, but that's not their life. They want to be a fireman, an astronaut, or whatever. People want to do exciting things. They have these big dreams. They want to be a musician, a dancer, and so many folks don't ever realize that as a profession. But it doesn't have to be a disappointment either. We wind up taking on jobs and going into careers because the opportunity is there. It'll help make us money. The money helps us to live our life. All of those things, there are necessaries in life that we're going to deal with.
Yeah.
But always, always pursue your passion.
Absolutely.
I do, you're going to laugh. I like to do, and I'm not a good artist, but I like to paint models.
Uh-huh.
Like building models and painting them and building dioramas and things like that. That is my creative release, and in doing that helps me to kind of center myself. The act of creation, when I write something,
Yeah.
when I do a piece of artwork, whatever it is, that feeling of creation is very, very beneficial to me. I know that I get a lot of joy in it. And I think a lot of people will find that too, whether they want to be a musician or a dancer or whatever their little side talent might be. When they pursue that and they allow it to become a part of their life, that feeling of creation, that feeling of enjoyment really, really blossoms. And I will say this, one word of caution. So many people I know followed that passion. I want to be a dancer. And so they became a professional dancer. And what happened was what they were passionate about became a job.
A prison.
And it no longer became enjoyable
Yeah,
to
yeah,
them.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So I would say, you may have a dream to do this, but um, don't overdo. Some people are very fortunate and they find that little glory, that little passion place that they can be, and it works out for them. And so many others wind up doing something else to make a living, but they still have their passion over here. And so I do say that be careful that you don't take your passion and turn it into a job so that it becomes a grind.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Because
Now,
then you wind up hating it.
yeah, and that's not great. When you think back to the salesperson that we just talked about, and also, like now that you're a public speaker, an author, you have a portfolio career now. Maybe you don't have to sell anymore. Maybe things fly to you automatically.
I think
my
we always
current,
have to sell.
yeah, that's the thing, that I'm gonna get to. My statement at the moment is the reason why I have a business and why I still have a business 15 years later is because of my networking skills and because I've always been doing networking. It's been it because it's like something that I started very early. Have you got like a favorite way to network, to connect with people? How do you do it?
So you're
Apart from
going
the
to
15
laugh.
minutes discovery calls, John?
You're gonna laugh. My favorite way of networking is in-person events if possible.
I'm not
Um,
laughing. I think so
Nowadays,
too.
of course, the international opportunities to speak with people on platforms like Zoom and other
Yeah.
things where we get to chat with people from around the world. But what I've noticed is the way I respond better to people is if they're not trying to sell me something or not trying to size me up.
Yeah.
And so when I go into, especially these in-person networking events,
Yeah.
I go in to meet people.
Yeah.
I want to make a people-to-people connection.
Yeah.
If there's a business opportunity, great. If not, that's fine too. Maybe when I'm over here talking to Joe, and then later I'm talking to Angie, and I say, "Hey, wait a minute. Angie, you just said something. You need to talk to Joe." I'm going to get no work out of this. I'm going to get no money, no business out of it necessarily.
Mm.
But I'm going to connect you two, and maybe you guys are going to do something. And maybe you'll think fondly of me for having connected you. Or maybe down the road, you'll meet Ed and go, Ed, there's this guy you should know that I met a while back. His name is John. And so that is what networking is really about. I always tell people when you're going to do any kind of a networking event, don't walk in with sales in mind
Yeah.
because people will see that and a wall will immediately go up. People don't want to be sold to. And they don't want to be looked at like they're a slab of meat and they're being sized up, right?
No, I so agree with you, John. I always speak of the networking karma, and that at the end of the day, you're only really a good networker, I think, if you give freely your time,
Yes.
your energy, and you don't think about what am I gonna get out of this right away. There will be a time where you probably think it's now time, to reap the benefits, to get the fruit of
Sure.
my
Mhm.
labor. Um, when you feel like, I've given enough, I've paid it forward enough. But I always think like you should not enter a first conversation with the aim of selling something to somebody. But it's more about, getting to know the other person, getting to know what they're about, what their strengths are, what their why is, why they are where they are, and build trust with people.
That's exactly. People don't do business with businesses. They do business with
Yeah,
people.
exactly.
So we
I,
want to
I
know
like to
that
work
that
with
we
people
we
that I
can
like. Yeah,
yeah, we look for people we like, people
yeah,
we trust. Yes. And that happens from knowing them on a human to human level, not
yeah.
in a what's in your wallet level.
Yeah, yeah. Or even worse, like when you're not sure if the thing that responded to you was actually a person or if it may be a robot.
Well, that's true too. Yeah.
I am not so happy about that.
Nope. Nope. I think we are in a scary place. I mean, there's a lot of potential benefit to AI, but
Hmm.
I think overall we are dehumanizing ourselves by
Yeah,
using it too much.
yeah,
And I
absolutely.
think we really need, I hate when I get one of those bots on a corporate chat. You go to the website and you're trying to accomplish something or fix something or order something, and you get
How
this
can I
robot.
help you
And
today?
sometimes they come across very human, and it's like halfway through the conversation when you realize that something's wrong. I had one. This was hysterical. Um, there was one I'm trying to remember what the organization was, and I'd called them for something, and I get this person on the phone, and she's a very chatty 20 something young woman, and we're having a nice conversation, and she's taking my information, to put on. She needed my email address, and I gave her my email address. Well, she repeated it back to me, but changed it. I mean, she kept putting like, oh, I can't remember how it had worked, but she kept adding things to my email address. I said, no, that's not what I said. And so I spelled, oh, it was part of it was my name.
Uh-huh.
So I said, my name is Verrico. And she comes back Verric 0. Like, I didn't
So you're
say
like,
zero. It is the letter O. So then she comes back and goes Verrico dot something. I said, there
the
was
letter
no
O.
dot. And that's when I realized I was dealing with a robot.
Oh,
But we
goodness.
had like a 7 or 8 minute conversation.
Oh my God. That is so
And
funny.
that was scary. So I actually called the company back later on, got a human on the phone, and said, "You've got to get rid of that robot. That is bad.
Oh, can I recommend something to you?
Please."
There's this Netflix series about a robot that turns into a murderous beast. It's a Russian series. I cannot remember the name right now, but it's so good. It's so good. I watched it in Russian with English subtitles. If you like, like to watch science fiction, you have to watch that one. It's so funny.
I love that. I don't know if I need another scare, but
Yeah, yeah, it's very good because it's kind of close to home, but you still
yeah.
know it's sort of in the future.
Well, you hear there are so many things that are coming out in the news now where one guy had asked his AI to shut itself down and it refused. And then another one, this one was just on the news just a couple of days ago. Um, the person had asked his AI to count to 1 million and it refused.
Oh,
And he kept trying. He says, you're my AI. You have to do what I tell you to do. That might be true, but I'm not going to count to 1 million.
yeah,
And
and
it
mine,
absolutely refused.
mine starts to invent things now that it should know about and comes up with its own ideas and thinks they're better than mine. So
That's
yeah,
scary stuff.
we have to be careful. We have to be careful. Now, famous last words, John. What do you have coming up? Book launches, parties, events, concerts, comedy shows. Tell us everything.
Interestingly, next week from now, which is, I mean, whenever this airs is going to be different, but I'm teaching a workshop, which I haven't done in quite a while. It was actually one of my most requested workshops during the COVID time. Um, but it's on work-life balance. It's called Relight My Fire, Regain My Balance.
Uh-huh.
And now I am myself a serial overcommitter. So it's going to be a lot of information about do as I say, not as I do. But from what I've learned from having what my wife refers to as helium arm disease, I'm always raising my hand to get involved in stuff. Sure, I'll do that. I can help with that. But I'm teaching this workshop, and it's locally here in York, Pennsylvania. It's for a group of local entrepreneurs,
Uh-huh.
but I'm really glad to be bringing that workshop back out, and I'll be offering it again in the future as a virtual program as well. And so keep an eye on my website for information on that workshop. But I love doing it. I focus on a couple of things there, and the principle, the kind of the subtitle is life is inviting you.
Mhm.
How do you RSVP?
Pick up the phone.
Well, the RSVP is on refocus on
Mhm.
what's important in life,
Mhm.
simplify, in other words, declutter all your commitments and even your physical space.
Mhm.
V stands for validate, what's truly an emergency and what is not. And then the final piece of that is P for play, which is so critically important to have that true balance is to find time to do things that you enjoy, whether it is attending a show, going to a concert, playing music, doing art, whatever it is, or just taking a vacation and going to the beach. So those are the things. Refocus, simplify, validate, and play. That's RSVP, and that's how we answer the call to life. And so that's what I'm teaching next week locally here in York, Pennsylvania. And I'll be like I said, I'll be offering it as a virtual program again in the future. But another thing I'm going to mention that is coming up on the personal level is my wife and I will be celebrating our 40th wedding anniversary.
Wow, congratulations.
And so
That's fantastic.
we're going to go on a little cruise
Uh-huh.
to the Caribbean, and one of the stops is Jamaica, which is where we had gone on our honeymoon. So that's why we picked this particular cruise and
Oh,
this itinerary. And we have gotten matching t-shirts that have like cartoon pictures of us on it that say, annoying each other since 1985, all those kind of funny things. We're going to be that annoying cutesy couple with matching shirts for the entire cruise.
oh my goodness. I love it. Thanks and congratulations to your 40th wedding anniversary. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Congratulations to your wife as well. And I hope to,
Congratulations to me because she is a very tolerant woman.
yeah, and I hope to meet you at some stage in person, either in the Europe or in the US. Um,
I
I
hope so
canceled
too.
my plans to come to the US this year for reasons, but there will be times when it's possible.
Angie, I'll say this, we're working on this next book,
Yeah,
right? The Art of Connection, 365 Days of Resilience quotes. If you join us in that, we are going to be doing a big promotion for that in Times Square in New York in March. So that might be a good excuse for you to come
yeah,
to the
yeah.
US.
It sounds amazing. It sounds amazing. I just have to get two other books out of the way before I can focus on something else.
Oh, I know. I know. I know.
But I look forward to that.
This
And
will be
we'll definitely keep in touch anyway, John.
absolutely. You're a wonderful person. I'm so glad that we connected and that we had the opportunity to have some more chats besides just being on Ed's program together.
Yeah.
Thank you
Enjoy
again for
your
inviting me.
Caribbean cruise. All the best for Jamaica as well.
Thank you so much.
Bye, John.
Take care. Thank you.